There are almost 1 billion hungry people in this world. Nearly 50 million people struggle for food in the U.S. alone. Almost 1 in 4 children had to worry about food last year. Meanwhile, around 40% of the food produced for consumption in the U.S. will never be eaten at all. According to the EPA, as of 2008, the value of this excess food came to about $31 billion. Our tax money is paying for this waste to go to the landfill, where it rots away, creating massive amounts of methane gas. Methane is a greenhouse gas approximately 20 times more damaging to our environment than carbon dioxide. In addition to pollution and starvation, wasted food is responsible for about 300 million barrels of oil per year and more than a quarter of our freshwater consumption. In order to keep prices and demand levels high, agricultural consortiums often ask that farmers destroy surplus crops and food. More produce than that is destroyed daily to aesthetics. That's right, perfectly edible produce is thrown away all the time because it just isn't pretty enough. Have we really become petty enough to throw away several tons of food that don't meet our expectations of beauty while almost a billion people are going hungry? Unfortunately, the answer is yes. It's time for a massive change. It's our responsibility as humans and citizens of the earth to revolutionize the food industry in our own ways. It's time for businesses, farmers, schools, consumers, and legislature to make a combined effort to reduce aesthetic expectations, reform laws, and demand sustainable business practices. It's time to educate all those who don't know and motivate all those who do. If we don't change our ways now, it does not look good for the future. A great place to enact change is with our youth and the schooling system. By instilling sustainability into the lives of children, we can ensure that our wasteful ways will not be inherited by future generations. Through a zero-waste initiative, Holmes Elementary School in Illinois has been able to successfully reduce the generation of landfill waste by almost 80% in just 2 years. They've also increased recycling by more than 500%, went from composting nothing to almost 10,000 pounds a year. Colleges are getting involved too. Colleges like CMC have decided to go trayless, reducing food waste by up to 50% in the cafeterias. The restaurant industry is at the forefront of the green movement. They're utilizing all kinds of sustainable techniques to both save money and the environment. These techniques include utilizing the internet to have superior inventory management. Many restaurants are also buying local products, planning their inventory more efficiently, adding more portion sizes to their menus, and especially composting. There's several different types of composting, including vermicomposting, container composting, off-site composting. The city of San Francisco is actually now making composting mandatory for both residences and businesses. Besides helping the environment, the program lets restaurants save up to 50% on their garbage bills. The waste removal company charges less to collect compost because it doesn't go to the landfills, and the finished dirt sells for $480 a truckload. Although composting is an excellent strategy, food should first be donated whenever possible. Donating not only helps to reduce disposal costs, but some business owners actually gain tax benefits and are helping people in need while reducing methane-producing food waste in landfills. Seems like a no-brainer, right? The problem is that even when national laws protect restaurants from liability lawsuits, most restaurateurs would rather avoid potentially costly and troublesome trials at the state level. The solution is reformation of state laws. A good example of this reform can be observed in the state of Florida, where an 11-year-old boy by the name of Jack Davis prompted what is now known as Jack's Law. With the help of his father and local politicians, Jack successfully passed a law that provides liability protection to restaurant owners in Florida. Other states should follow Florida's example and make it easier for restaurants to donate. Ireland is now introducing new legislation concerning the segregation of food waste. They have introduced a brown bin program for collecting compostable food. The businesses are charged by the kilo for how much organic waste they produce. As a result, many of them are doubling their efforts to reduce waste in the first place. There's also a widespread appeal to add anaerobic digestion plants to compost facilities. Anaerobic what? Anaerobic digestion happens every day, in landfills everywhere. Every time food rots, it creates natural biogas. The problem is we're not harnessing it, so instead it's just going up into the atmosphere and becoming methane. Well, let's start harnessing it. That's what Sweden's doing. They've created fuel cars, buses, and now even trains. Are we natural food wasters? We're not taught to value food anymore. In the past, we hardly ever wasted any food. According to Nancy McDonald, the percent of our income spent on food last year was only 5.6%, while the average caloric intake rose by 9%. Meanwhile, in Pakistan, the percentage of spending on food can reach up to 75% of income. We used to tease my aunt because she would tell my cousins that if they didn't finish their broccoli, a child would die in Africa. Well, maybe she wasn't that far off. Another way to support change is to spend money in the right places. That doesn't mean that we should spend more money than usual. It means that we should be more picky about the establishments that we choose to support. Go to your local farmer's market. Help out the local soup kitchens and recovery agencies. Donate. We can even go to sustainable restaurants and just search for them online now. How is it that 30% of our groceries are being thrown out? How is it that 25% of the children in America have to worry about food? Why aren't people talking about this? Whatever the reasons are, it's time to make a serious change. This can only happen through a joint effort of people, businesses, organizations, and government. As a result of anti-food waste movement, we can save money, precious resources, and lives. This is our responsibility to the earth and to future generations. It's time to feed the hungry through legal and mandatory donations. It's time to compost that which cannot be donated. It's time to utilize technology for the purpose of creating energy out of waste. We must support sustainable practices, not because it's a trend, but because it's the right thing to do. People must redirect their focus from conflicts to common interests. We need to work together to make these goals, and though the decision is mentally an easy one, the problem requires action from everyone.